In this video, we are going to be talking about the tool that I check the most on a daily basis, Ahrefs or Ahrefs, however you prefer to say it. There's no right or wrong way to do so. Now, Ahrefs is an all-in-one tool. It can handle everything from your technical audits to your keyword research to your reporting and website tracking. We use it for a little bit more specific things. There's a lot of functionality in it. I think it's all great, but when it comes to the way that we teach and the things that we're going to show you within the blueprint, we're only going to be using it for about half of its functionality. For those of you out there wondering too, Ahrefs and SEMrush are interchangeable. We use them both throughout the course. If you were going to pay for one, I would personally do Ahrefs, mainly because I think their backlink analysis is stronger than SEMrush. However, if you're comfortable using SEMrush over Ahrefs, they really are interchangeable, and everything that we teach in here, whether it's doing keyword research or link analysis or competitive analysis, can be done with either tool. And honestly, you don't even really need a tutorial on both because they function very similarly. Again, it's whatever you're comfortable with, whichever you prefer. So the things that we use Ahrefs for specifically within this course are for high-level site tracking, keyword rankings, link tracking, and just overall campaign progress. We use it for keyword research. It's very important. It has a really, really good keyword research tool, both when looking at the bottom funnel keyword research and also top funnel, aka content marketing research. We use it for both. Competitive research, by far and away, between this and SEMrush, are the best competitive analysis tools for SEO out there, or really anything if you want to do marketing competitive analysis. There's a lot of insights that you can get from it. And then finally, link research. I really do believe that Ahrefs has the best link database and access to the best data when it comes to link. I think it's the most reliable. So whenever we're doing anything link building relating, we're really using this tool to do so. And I'm going to run you through very high level how we do each four of these tasks within Ahrefs. So before we get into the actual platform, one of the things I get asked a lot is about pricing and which plan you need. So we currently, our agency, and for the blueprint, we use the standard plan. It's $179 a month. Before you ask, there are no discounts for Ahrefs. I've tried before. This is one of those tools where it's a necessity if you want to do SEO, especially for clients. It's a very sound investment. You will get your money back. It will save you a ton of time, and it will allow you to do the work the right way. You can definitely get away with the light plan if you're around 10 clients or less, but once you get up around 10 clients, you really want to go with standard. Once you're up around 30 to 50 clients, you definitely want to go with advanced, and I think you can really stick with this here. We've never really paid for the agency plan, but between these two right here, once you're growing your agency, you're definitely going to need this tool. There is also a free trial to it, but it's very limited, so honestly, trust me, take my advice, you at least want to get the light plan. With that being said, let's jump into the platform. So when you first log into Ahrefs, what it will allow you to do is to create a project. A project is essentially just going to allow you to dump in a website URL and allow you to track it over time. So when I come back here to the home screen, you can see some of the websites that we have in here that I'm basically just using as a dashboard. Again, I'll usually log in here like maybe every other day and just kind of check on the progress. So what you're seeing here, if we just take a look at our website here, so this is Webrus, this is our digital agency website. It gives you an overall Ahrefs rank. I don't even look at this. I don't think it's important data. It gives you a domain rating. Basically what this is telling you is the overall SEO power of your domain. Again, it's not overly important to get caught up in these things. We'll talk about it a little bit more when we talk about the link building aspect of these things, but that's what this is referring to. Then you see referring domains and backlinks. These two things go together. What this is telling us, referring domains, is the number of total websites that are linking to yours. So for example, if Huffington Post writes an article about the best SEO agencies in Miami, they list 10 of them and then they link to us, that would count as one referring domain. Now the difference between referring domains and backlinks is one referring domain could have multiple backlinks. So if the Huffington Post writes 10 articles about us, right, it will only count as one referring domain, but it will count as 10 backlinks. And you can really see the discrepancy here is if you're getting links on domains that are getting repeated across pages. So for example, if somebody adds a footer link to you and that website has 100 pages, it'll be one referring domain, but 100 backlinks. Now, again, as we talk more about backlinks when we get into the actual content of the modules, it's not necessarily about total quantity here. It's really about quantity. However, I do look at referring domains as a sign of the overall ranking power of the domain. This is just at a very top level analysis because we do want to go through and review those domains, because getting a link from Huffington Post is much better than getting a link from a spammy website about Viagra or Cialis or something like that, right? So not all backlinks and referring domains are created equal, but when we're talking about getting a very quick litmus test at a dashboard view, this is very helpful. And then you can also just see here, these pluses are just going to show you the increases since the last time that this data was refreshed, which I believe is every couple of days. Don't quote me on that, but it will just show you the increase in referring domains in backlinks. And then this chart also reflects that too. So you can just see as you scroll down, it's very easy for you to keep and track your portfolio, whether that's your own websites or clients in here, just so you can log and get a quick litmus test and just see how things are performing. Now, even more so over here, these two charts then go together here. So you have organic traffic and organic keywords. So organic keywords are going to tell you all the keywords that website is ranking for counted. Now, again, the difference between keywords and traffic is this traffic is an estimation. This estimation is based on keyword position times keyword volume, right? So if you're ranking for a keyword in position 1 that gets 1,000 searches, Ahrefs is going to run some modeling for you to estimate how much traffic that one keyword will drive. Now, again, if you're ranking for the same keyword that has 1,000 searches, but you're ranking in position 10, that's going to impact the traffic because position 10 is going to get a lot less clicks than position 1. So this is an estimate here based on the number of keywords that you're ranking for. And again, it's depending on position, it's depending on keyword volume of how much it's going to impact this. And again, this is not the all said and means organic traffic. This is just an Ahrefs estimate. So this is not going to correlate with Google Analytics or Google Search Console in terms of the organic sessions that you're getting from search. This is just a estimated metric, just like domain rating is and just like Ahrefs. That's why I prefer to focus on referring domains count and organic keywords count. Because again, when we're looking at these things, when we're looking at a portfolio of websites in aggregate, we don't always have the time to dive into one-to-one. So we just want to make sure that things are trending up positively. So you can see Weber's is trending down in keywords and organic traffic, whereas the blueprint is trending up. My personal website is trending up. Coding is for Losers is trending up. A client site is trending up. CRM is trending up. So what this allows us to do too, and again, this just shows you the breakdown of keywords based on country. So what this allows us to do, especially at the manager or the project manager or the owner, really is to have a bird's eye view just to make sure that everything is going the right way, to have a pulse on what's going on. Now, that's really not the point of using this tool. This is, again, just to make sure that nothing's on fire when you're running an agency. And if it is, for example, with Weber's, then we can dig in and figure out what's going on. So let's start with that. So if we just click on this, if you've already got it tracked, then it will take us to the next view. Or if you want to do research on a website that's not in your portfolio, you're doing research for a potential client or some competitors, you can just type it in up here. And then we're going to click search. And then you can see up here, this goes then from dashboard to site explorer. And this up here is how you change the functionality within the tool. So we have the dashboard, which again is just up here. Let me just run you through this real quick. This is where we just were. This is your login screen. Site explorer, this is where you're really going to be able to dive deep. So again, this is just a different view if we typed in webers.org and search for it. Keywords Explorer, this is where we're going to dive in and do a little bit more specifics with keyword research. Site Audit will allow you to do more of a technical audit like we talked about in Screaming Frog or in Deep Crawl. Again, I don't really use Ahrefs for the site audit, so I'm not going to talk about it here. Rank Tracker is to track very specific keywords. So again, you saw this dashboard. This is kind of the same view as the home dashboard, right? Unless you give Ahrefs specific keywords to track, then this feature will not be available to you. So the reason I don't use the keyword tracker is because I personally think that this keyword tracking, especially for the way that we do reporting at the blueprint, the monthly reporting templates that we give you, will basically be reporting on this data, not the rank tracker. Now, you would use the rank tracker really in a couple scenarios. Number one, if you're working with a client who really wants to hyper focus on a couple of main keywords, like if you're working with an insurance company and they really want to rank first for homeowners insurance, and they're really holding you to the fires of that keyword, what you can do is you just set up the site and then you can just add in keywords to track specifically. And then what this will do is it will track those keywords at a very granular level. Literally just those keywords, so you can hyper focus on the keywords within the portfolio that you're working with. So this also applies if you're working with a website that has a lot of keywords. If you're working with a website that has 1 million keywords that it's ranking for, but 99% of those keywords are garbage, then you might want to use this feature to hypertrack the keywords that really matter, again, that are really driving business value to that customer. So the other reason why I don't use this is because it's very expensive. Rank tracking is one of those things that companies will charge you a lot of money for. So you can see if you want to track up to 8,000 keywords, 10,000 keywords, it's another $1,000 a month. It's quite a bit. And again, the way that we built our reporting, the blueprint, is that you don't need this. You can still hyper focus on those keywords by extracting them, just doing a little bit of extra legwork. So it'll save you a lot of money just using the reporting system that we give you. Again, that's in our monthly reporting section within the blueprint. Content Explorer. This is to check basically like kind of trending topics within content. So if you wanted to look for something along the lines of like Shopify, right? If you have a client that's in the Shopify space or offers Shopify services, you just type in the keyword up here. And then there's a bunch of different stuff in terms of content that's been published, who's the authors, what are the websites, what are the languages. You can just do a lot of very specific research in here to really dive down into the type of content that's trending around the topics that you want. So really don't use this either. There's some other things up here that you can use as well. But what I'm really going to focus on here, again, we spoke about the dashboard as kind of the analysis, but really what we use the most in here is going to be the Site Explorer, the Keywords Explorer, and then the functionality within these two. So let's start our deep dive by talking about the Site Explorer. So again, let's say we wanted to look into why Webrus was losing keywords. So over on the left-hand side, we've got all these different batched analyses over here that we can look at. Let me just fold them up real quick so we can talk about them. So the first one up here is the backlink profile, organic search, pages. This is for organic search. Outgoing links, meaning backlink profile means the links that are coming into our website. Outgoing links means the sites that we're linking to from our website. Paid search, which we don't touch. Obviously, we're talking about SEO here, and then this is just an export. So again, what we're going to be focusing on are really these four things with our analysis: backlinks, organic search, this is also organic search, and potentially outbound links as well. So what you see here when you click on a website is, again, this dashboard, the same dashboard from before, just blown out a little bit more, and these are all clickable. So when we want to talk about backlinks and organic keywords, we can click on these and it will take us to a report that's going to show us what those links are and what those keywords are. The next thing that you'll see is these three tabs here: backlink profile, organic search, and paid search. Now, these three tabs here are going to correlate with these charts here. So what we're basically looking at here is, when I was talking about referring domains, we can go back and we can see how many referring domains the site has been getting over time. So we can see that this is trending up. You know, sometimes you'll see these things spike down or spike up. That might be something that you want to look into a little bit more, because this is actually what a healthy link profile looks like. It should just be kind of trending up at a very nice steady pace, but potentially growing faster as well if you're doing link building the right way. What we don't want to see is big spikes or big fall offs, because if you have a big spike, then potentially you might be getting links from spammy places that you might want to look into, or they could be a bunch of good links. Again, that's why we want to research things a little bit more and not just look at these charts as the end all be all. So referring pages down here is going to show us, this is the equivalent of backlinks. It's actually a little bit confusing. They should call this backlinks, but referring pages is the equivalent of the backlinks here. Referring domains is referring to this here. So you can just filter if you want to see 1 year, last 30 days. You can just see how things are trending up. This is going to show you the new backlinks and referring domains that you've gotten versus the ones that you've lost. So again, if you're losing a lot of links, that might be for something for concern. If you're losing links, if you put yourself in a situation of a website who's taking a link down, and from Google's point of view, if you're losing a lot of links, it could be because you're getting links from websites that are unnatural, right? The pages are just getting de-indexed. Those websites are getting deleted. It could be sending these signals from Google that your links are coming from shady places. So we always want to keep an eye on these things to make sure that, again, things are trending the right way. They're not falling off too fast. And again, that things are just very healthy. So we'll talk about this again more in the link building module for how to do analyses. Again, this is just for context so you understand what you're looking at here. And then we just got a bunch of different reports here that show where links are coming from, the type of different top domains. Anchor text, this is actually important. So an anchor text means, let's say, again, going back to that Huffington Post example. Huffington Post writes an article about the 10 best SEO agencies in Miami. When they actually link to my website, whatever that HTML link is, that's what's called the anchor text. So the actual text that's wrapped in the link is the anchor text, and that's what's going to show up here. So Webrus is obviously the brand domain. So if they write an article and they're again talking about the top 10 SEO agencies, and then they say Webrus is number one, and then they link within that Webrus text, that's what's going to show up here. And the reason this is important is because historically in SEO, Websites that were manipulating anchor text, meaning if they were put, instead of using Weber's, if the website was linking like the best SEO agency in Miami, Google is actually penalizing our websites for that. So if I was going out and engaging in link building and I was telling the website owners, hey, use this anchor text because it will help push up my rankings, because again, the anchor text does send relevance to Google about what the website is about that it's linking to. So again, if Huffington Post is writing an article about SEO agencies and they link to my website saying we're the best SEO agency in Miami, that's Huffington Post endorsing my website as the best SEO agency in Miami. So Google will read that. However, if you're continuously doing that and repeatedly, it becomes unnatural to Google, because Google understands that websites usually don't use that type of anchor text when they're linking back. Most authoritative, reputable websites will use a brand name. They'll use something here like read more. It's very rare that they'll use that level of detail with an exact match anchor text, right? So it's just something to be wary of when you're doing link building. Also, when you're doing analysis, if you're looking at a client website that has a lot of anchors that are not branded, meaning branded name, branded meaning website name here, because that's another really good one, like check out Ryan Stewart more at webers.org. This just allows you to take a look at to make sure that they have a healthy link profile. So again, we're doing an analysis of a website. These are all the little different things that we can see to make sure that we're not getting links from spammy domains. And again, we'll talk about that in much more detail in the link building module. So the next tab up here is the organic search. So this is going to correlate with this section right here. So just like the backlink profile, we can see how things are trending up or down. It's the same thing with organic search. So we can see how the overall organic traffic over the history of this domain has gone up, and it's fallen quite recently in the past. And I know why, obviously, and we'll talk about that more. It'll show you the majority of where the country is coming from. Competitor websites over here, and then this one is organic keywords. So this is probably the chart that I'll look at the most, and I love this chart for a couple reasons. Number one is because again, this is really one of the only software out there that will show us our entire keyword footprint, which I think is really important, because when it comes to SEO, again, it's not just that number one ranking, it's about looking at things in aggregate. So we want to understand how the entire website is moving in terms of keywords, which keywords are moving up, which keywords are moving down, and then really importantly too, which position those keywords are in. So we can check these boxes either on or off down here to see where the majority of these ranks are coming from. So right now we're only looking at positions 11 through 100. Now position 11 through 100 really doesn't drive much traffic, but it does help us understand how Google is starting to index and rank our website. So we want to make sure that this is continuously going up, but more importantly, we want to look to see that positions 4 and 1 through really 10 are going up, because this is where the majority of traffic are coming from. So what you might see sometimes is a website that has a ton of high-level keyword rankings up here, but not a lot of ones down here, because this right here is where the traffic is coming from. So what we can see here is since January, our website has had a massive fall off, really halved in terms of the keywords that have gone from position 1 all the way down. So what this is telling me is that we're losing traffic. We're not just losing, there's a difference between losing keyword rankings and traffic, right? If this dip here is a loss in keyword rankings, this dip here is a major loss in traffic, right? So we really want to dig in to understand why that is, which we'll do in just a moment. So these are the kind of the high-level charts that I'll look at. Really contextually, I'll use these charts when I'm doing, before I have like a sales consultation, before I jump on a client call. These are really more of like status checks than kind of an in-depth answering why. So this is kind of answering the what, like what's going on, but not why these things are happening. So if we want to dig into the why, we can dig into these things here. Or on the left-hand side, we can click on these to dive in more. So let's start by just looking at backlinks. So the backlinks over here, what this is going to do is this is going to pull back every single website that is linking to our domain. So we can do an analysis to see if these are good links, if they're coming from reputable websites, or if we might want to go through and do a disavow to get rid of them. So there's a bunch of different types of analyses that you can run up here. I personally like to go with one link per domain because, like I said, if you're getting a link from Huffington Post in the footer, and then it's just replicating a bunch of different backlinks, Google's really only counting that as one link for argument's sake, right? So we don't necessarily care about every backlink that we're getting, but we do care about the domains that we're getting it from. And the reason I don't use the referring domains report is because this does not give us enough information. This is aggregating at the domain level, when what we really want is we need this at the specific URL level. So if we come over here, you can see that this is actually giving us the specific URL, whereas this is just rolling it up to the domain, right? So What I want to be able to do is I want to be able to look at this post on Robbie Ridger's website, not just his domain. Does that make sense? So really, we're just going to be sticking to this report. And then if we filter it for one link per domain, then now we've got the right, just only one. So as opposed to having 20 different pages on Robbie's website, we've only got this one website. And if we want to open up this up to see if this is a reputable website, to see how the article is, then it's right there for us to do so. And again, we're going to talk about this much more in detail in the link building module for how to do an analysis to understand the quality of these website links. Right now, I'm just giving you the context for what this tool can do. So if someone's asking you to do a backlink analysis, this is where you're going to want to come to, filter it for one domain. And now what you can do is really go through one by one and understand the type of links you're getting and where they're coming from, and then the quality as well. So here's DR, UR, referring domains, and traffic and keywords. So all these metrics that we were just looking at for our own website are available from these websites. So again, what we can do now from a data analysis point of view is once you understand these metrics contextually, meaning how does my website measure up to competitors? How does my website measure up to the ones that are on top versus the ones on bottom? Once you understand what these numbers look like contextually, now we can do a very quick analysis to understand the quality of these links that are coming in. So again, this is why it's also important that I understand the SEMrush is great too, but it's really important that you choose one tool and stick to it, because we don't want to be comparing apples to oranges. When we're looking at data, again, a lot of this data, Ahrefs is going out and they're scraping and aggregating all this data, but they're also adding in their own level of analysis and opinion to make this data really specific to them. So if we're trying to take this data and compare it to Google Analytics, or take this data and compare it to SEMrush, then we're going to be comparing apples to oranges. So we need to be doing apples to apples comparison, meaning the data analysis within Ahrefs should happen here. Now, if we're pulling specific parts, like just pulling out the total link count and then combining that with analytics data, combining that with SEMrush data, that's a little bit different, right? So when we're talking about like our website quality audit or our keyword gap analysis, where we're blending data from different sources, that's a little bit different. But what you don't want to be doing is taking this specific URL, then going to Moz or Ahrefs and being like, well, why is this one telling me that the DA or the DR is higher here? It's not important, right? We want to make sure that, again, we're looking at this data specifically, comparing it apples to apples. So there's some other filters that we can put in here. We can only look at do follow links, which is probably another one that I like to look at as well, because when we're talking about links that are really driving an impact, for the most part, they're going to be followed links. You can filter by traffic, you can filter by language. Again, there's a bunch of different ways that you can get surgical in here. You can look at new links, you can look at lost links, you can look at broken links. So any link that's broken, potentially you can reach back out to that site member and figure out if they can add you back in for a link. Again, there's just a whole bunch of different analysis you can do. But for the most part, that's all I'm really doing with the backlink analysis here. The link intersect is actually pretty cool too. So you can, if you want to do some competitive research, we could say, show me the links from, I'm just pulling these sites off the top of my head. It's like yex.com, whatever. And then what it'll do is it'll pull back the links from the competitors versus the ones that we don't have. And then we can potentially go out and hit up these websites or figure out a way to do so. Because what Ahrefs is basically saying is, if these are your two competitors, these are the sites that are linking to them, they can probably link to you too. So it's basically doing kind of like a high level pre-qualification for us to go out and potentially do some link building activities with these sites. Don't use that too much, but it's there for if you wanted to. So the next thing I want to talk about is going to be organic search. So again, this is looking at justwebrist.org. If we click on organic keywords, this is going to tell us all the keywords that our website is ranking for. It's going to tell us the volume, keyword difficulty. This is an estimate based on Ahrefs' data. Again, that's going to tell us how difficult that keyword is to rank for. 1 being the lowest, 100 being the highest. Obviously, Webrist is our name, so our website should rank for it. It's going to tell you the cost per click. So if you were to go out and try and buy this keyword with Google AdWords, this is what it's going to cost you, $4 per click. This is the estimated traffic that we're getting from this keyword based on the position, and again, based on the search volume. So again, Ahrefs is running this internal calculation saying, okay, if we're ranking 4th here for the keyword MyMSEO at 3,000 searches per month, it's also taking into account like all the different things, how many ads are there, if there's a knowledge graph. It's estimating the amount of traffic that we're getting per month. So it's basically saying if you're ranking for 4th for MyMSEO, you're getting 111 visits per month. Then it's showing us the actual URL for that. And then again, we can do all sorts of different filters and analysis here to understand what this SERP looks like. So if we click here, then what we can do is we can see ourselves ranking here versus the competitors ranking for. So again, when I was talking about using this for competitive analysis, if we really want to understand what's going on at the SERP level, which we do, this is a very powerful little analysis that we can do to figure that out. So again, this is just going to pull through all the different keywords. It's going to show you the change in the keyword ranking based on since the last time that this was crawled. So you can see here for Boston SEO, we moved up 3 positions for this URL, etc. So again, there's 173 pages here. It's quite a bit, and this is not even a big website. So you can imagine if you're working with a big website, it's going to be a little bit overwhelming. So there's a couple things that we can do. Number one is we can export this data. A lot of the work that we're going to be doing in the blueprint is actually not going to be here within Ahrefs. It's going to be exporting the data into sheets and then running our own analysis because it's just too much data to work with to try and do this here. So again, what I like to use these tools for is for more quick topical analysis, things that I can kind of get in, get out, get some very quick questions answered, and then if needed, we'll pull this data down and manipulate it elsewhere because it's just too much to work with. And Webbers is not a big website, so you can imagine if you're working with like an e-commerce website that has 100,000 keywords, 1 million keywords ranking for, there's not much you can do here unless you have a very specific thing that you're looking for. So if you wanted to look for a very specific keyword, if you wanted to see how one specific page was doing, then this analysis is much more effective. But aside from that, what you're going to want to do is pull this data down through export into Sheets or Excel and then do some manipulation there where you can use formulas, you can use filters. It's just a lot faster than trying to do it up here. So you can also look at new keywords, you can look at movements. I really don't use these too much, to be honest with you, because we're continuously pulling this data out of here. So it's basically getting a snapshot of the data from here, and then we're doing weekly analysis, monthly analysis, so we can see the progress here. There's just so much data in here that again, unless you have a very specific question, you can really get lost in here. And again, especially if we're talking about doing this for clients, it's too much. So my favorite report in here actually is this one. It's the top pages report. So what this allows us to do is it rolls up all the keyword rankings to the page level. So as opposed to going through here, the keyword organic keywords report and looking at them one by one, it's kind of clusterfuck here, right? But if we just go to top pages, then it rolls up the keywords here. And again, so it rolls up the total traffic for this page, the value for the page, the number of keywords ranking for the page. If you want to click here, it'll show you all the keyword rankings, the number of referring domains to this page, the page URL, and then the top keyword for that page, the volume, and the position. So again, there's a little bit more of analysis here that I like to do is when I'm looking just kind of at over how a site is progressing, you can either click here and you can see all of the keywords that it's ranking for and their volume and all that data, or what you can do is you can hover over here. And then if you want to see the backlinks for this page, if you want to see the overview for this page, organic keywords for this page. So what I usually like to do is open up the overview in a new tab here. And now you can see here that this is the URL specific. So just like we put the overall domain in here, you can also look at specific URLs, which is really awesome. And then you can see specifically these charts, which are really awesome now, just for this page. So we can see how the links have been progressively flowing to this page. We can see how the keyword rankings have been progressively flowing to these pages. So when we're talking about doing a deeper analysis, like you saw, the overall the number of keywords dropping on Webbers, right? Well, that's site-wide. It's really hard to get a really good analysis about what's happening. So we have to start diving into these things at the URL level, and we can see here that this page has been falling from organic traffic. So this page is going to be one of the reasons why the traffic has been falling. The next question is to ask why. Did we change something on this page? Was it an algorithm? Are competitors jumping up? There's a whole bunch of questions that now we can start to ask that we can get a little more surgical to understand what's happening. And again, then you can just click in here and you can go to the specific keywords for this page. You can see how things are rising and falling, the actual keywords. There's a whole bunch of deeper analysis, again, that we'll talk about more in the blueprint that you can do. But this is why I love this report here personally. It's kind of like my pulse report, just to see everything that's happening on a website. I'll check it like maybe twice a month, again, just to make sure that the pages that we're building and working on are moving up. I can see the top keyword ranking, and if I need to dive in more, then I can do so. So subfolders and subdomains, really don't use these reports. Competing domains, if you were looking for some competitors to your website or to a client website, this is a really good way to find some at the SEO level, because what this does, it's going to look at all the different keywords that you have. It's going to pull in from their database all the websites that are competing on those same keywords, and then the overall intersection. So, when we talk about competitive analysis, if we talk about doing a keyword gap analysis later on in the training, this is one of the ways that you can find these other competing domains that are competing with you at the keyword level, right? Because it's a difference between somebody competing with at the business level and the keyword level. Like, for example, one of our competitors, according to this, is Ahrefs, this tool that we're using. We obviously don't compete with them at the business level, but at the SEO keyword level, we do. So we'd want to look at maybe some of those keywords that they're using that we could use to grow, or the keywords that they're beating us on that we could focus on to grow. So this is just a really good way to look at kind of at the overall competitive level, the domains that are competing with us from an SEO point of view. In competing pages, this is even just a little bit more surgical. This is going to tell us specifically at the page level which other websites are competing with us. Again, just another way to kind of go in and do a little bit more of a deep analysis. So the content gap analysis, this is interesting. So we've actually built something that uses this data, and it's a little bit better. We call it the keyword gap analysis. So I'm not going to show you how to do this because honestly, I do believe that our keyword gap analysis is better. We're using the same data. We're just applying different logic to it. So what this is going to do is if you give it a couple websites here that you found from your competitors, it's going to then list out all the keywords that they're ranking for versus the keywords that you're not. So our keyword gap analysis uses this data to understand what we call the keyword gaps. Again, for what our competitors are using to drive traffic and conversions that we are not. So the final thing here that I'm looking at is the outgoing links, and really the report that I look at is the broken links report. This is important because when we're talking about overall page quality and website quality, we want to make sure that not only that the websites are linking to us are clean and triggering 200 status codes, we also want to make sure that the websites that we are linking out to are also not broken. So when I'm doing a quick analysis of a website, or when I'm really doing more in-depth analysis, this is telling me that there's 8 pages here with broken links. It's a very easy fix. It's a very kind of like quick, small win to improve the quality of a website, but to just go through and again find the pages that have links that are broken that we can go in and fix. So you can see here this blog post here that we have. This is pulling through the text around it. This link here to Splash Copywriters is broken. So what I'd want to do is go into this page and replace this link again now, so Google just sees us as a little bit more of a quality website. So that's everything within this tool. Again, this is just a high-level overview of what's in here and what to expect from it. So that's everything that we use within the Site Explorer. Again, this is probably 80% of the analysis that we use Ahrefs for. The other big bucket here is going to be the Keywords Explorer. So what this part of the tool allows us to do is to do keyword research on either a client website or our website. So all you really have to do is type in a keyword here. You can filter between YouTube, Amazon, Bing, Yandex. For the most part, I use Google. YouTube keyword research is a little bit of a different process, but really all you have to do is type in the keyword that you want. You can also give it a list of keywords, and then you can use this tool to give some analysis for it. So a couple things of note here is the keyword difficulty here. So what this is going to do is just on a level of 1 to 100, tell us how hard the keyword is. 100 being the highest, low being 1 being the lowest. I don't pay too much attention to this because again, these metrics are internal to Ahrefs. It doesn't necessarily always equate apples to apples to what we're looking for. And there's also times where the keyword we just have to rank for. Like if the business is about being an SEO company, then we have to rank for that keyword, or we have to at least try to. So don't get too lost in this metric. This is going to tell us the search volume. This is something that I really love, these two different charts here, because this is going to tell us the overall keyword volume, meaning how many times are people searching for this keyword per month. So this is getting searched for 3,000 times per month. This is telling us what's clicked versus not clicked, meaning if we go and we type in Miami SEO, what we're going to see is there's a bunch of other things that could be clicked on. So one of the things that could be clicked on is this ad right here. Another one are these knowledge graphs here. So basically what this is telling us is that 24% of the time this is getting clicked. Also what could be happening is people are refining their search. So if they look at the results and they say this is not what I'm looking for an expert, then again they can refine that search. And then now you see even more ads. You see this sidebar over here. There's just a bunch of different things that people could be clicking on. So this can tell you again a little bit more about the fact that this might be a highly searched keyword, but it might not be a highly clicked keyword. So again, you can see over here now just the clicks based on this. And again, they don't match up one-to-one, so keep that in mind. Again, this is just more for contextual when we're doing analysis at scale. It saves us time from going through keyword to keyword. So this will tell us the amount of clicks that this is getting and the overall cost per click. This is a paid traffic. So the next thing I'll really look for here is the parent topic, meaning if we're looking for something like this, Miami SEO expert, you can see how these things change, but you can also see how the parent topic stays the same. So this is what we're calling the head keyword when we're going through our keyword research analysis and we talk about finding that root main head keyword. This is going to be the parent keyword here. It doesn't necessarily always mean that this is going to be the keyword that we want to optimize around, but this is going to tell us where all these different keywords stem from. So this is now going to start going into when we're talking about finding more supporting keywords or finding different keywords that are maybe a little bit less competitive or a little bit more relevant to the website that we're working on. These are going to tell us, it's going to spit out a bunch of different recommendations that we can use and then apply to the website. And then finally down here, this is just going to show us what's actually happening and what websites are actually ranking for that keyword. So again, we're talking about understanding if this keyword is a right keyword to attack, if we want to go after it, if we want to optimize around it. This will help us understand the types of websites that are ranking. And to be honest with you, Google is always the best in the final say on what keywords we want to rank for, because if you think that you should optimize that keyword, but then you go in and you see all these websites that are not relevant to you or their page titles are about something different, then we probably don't want to attack that keyword, because what we don't have to do again is we don't have to change our business values to match a keyword. There's a difference between business goals and SEO goals. The SEO goals should map to the business goals. So we don't want to go after a keyword just because it's big or less competitive or we think that we can get traffic for it, when realistically we're going to be placed around websites that are not relevant to what we're trying to go after. So, and we're going to talk about these tactics a lot more within the keyword research module. Again, this is really just more for context to understand how to use this tool and the different functionality of it. So from our point of view, that's really all that we use it for. Again, like I said, there's a bunch of different other things in here that you could use it for. You could use it to try and track keywords. You could use it as your tactical audit tool. But again, we like a platform that's a little bit more robust. Not that there's anything wrong with the way Ahrefs does it. We just prefer to manipulate our data in a different way, just based on what we've seen. So that in a nutshell is how to use Ahrefs. As always, if you like this video, like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.